Welcome to Google Calendar. To access your calendar, once you're in your inbox, you can click on the Apps button and then Calendar. It's going to bring up your personal calendar. Any calendars you create will be located under My Calendars on the left-hand side. You can tell if your calendar is active because it'll have a color beside it. As long as that color is there, it means you're looking at the current events on your calendar. If you click on it and it removes the color, it means you're just looking at a blank calendar. So we'll turn it on. You can also choose the color you want for your calendar by clicking on the drop down to the right and then choosing a different color. We're going to go to the drop down in Settings, or you can access it here in Settings. When you first come into the General page, you're going to see Language, Country, Current Time Zone. Make sure you have it set for Eastern. The time, the date format, so you can choose if you want it the month, day, year, day, month, year, or year, month, day. The time format, so it would be 24-hour or standard. And the default event duration. So I have mine set for 60 minutes. Most of my meetings are 60 minutes, but you could go 15, 30, 90, or 120. You can also select speedy meetings, which will help your meetings to end 5 minutes early for half an hour, 10 minutes for 1 hour, etc. Tell it when you want the week to start. Do you want it to start on Sunday, Monday, or Saturday? You can show a warning to other people when they invite you to events by putting in your work days in here. So if you click on this and you select that you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the time of day that you work, if anybody selects or invites you to a meeting and it's outside of that time frame, it's going to give them a warning that they're inviting you to something when you're normally not working. You can dim past events on your calendar, dim recurring future events on your calendar, have it show weekends or not show weekends. Determine what your default view. So when you open the calendar, do you want to come in as a day view, a week view, a month view, custom 4-day view, or the agenda view, which lists all your events down in a straight line. You can then set up custom views. So do you want 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, all the way up to 4 weeks. You can put in your location, and then based on your location you can have weather show on your calendar. You can have it show in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Do you want it to show events that you've declined, yes or no? So if there's an event that you were invited to and you said no, you didn't want to attend, did you still want it to show on your calendar? I normally choose no. Do you want to automatically add invitations to your calendar? So anytime anybody invites you, they automatically get added to your calendar? Or do you want to choose yes, but don't send event reminders unless I've responded yes or maybe? Or no, only show invitations to which I've responded? This is a personal preference. And you can turn off keyboard shortcuts if you want. Save if you made any changes on this page. It's going to take you out of settings and back to your calendar. Let's go into settings once again. And let's click on calendars. Now your calendar is going to show up here. And you can set up reminders and notifications. So by default, you can tell it when you want to be reminded of an event and how you want it. Do you want it by email? And this would be the time frame. Do you want it minutes, hours, days, or weeks before the event? And then you can keep adding how many different types of reminders you want. Or you can remove them and not have your calendar ever remind you of anything, which might not be a very good idea because sometimes you forget to look at your calendar and it would be nice to have something come up. So to add a reminder, again, you choose a pop-up or an email. So if you choose email, then 10 minutes before the event, you're going to receive an email. Or you could choose it to say 1 hour before the event. Maybe I also want a pop-up. So just to make sure I got the email, maybe I wasn't looking at my email, I'd like a pop-up to appear on my screen. So the pop-up, I want to give myself travel time. So let's make the pop-up 30 minutes before the event. You could add more if you wanted, so you can just keep adding different ones. Now, how do you want to be notified? Do you want to be notified of new events by email or text, changed events to email or text, canceled events to email or text, event responses, email or text, and do you want to receive a daily agenda every day at 5 a.m. about what's going on your calendar? You can also set up your mobile phone to receive notifications. Click Save. And here's your mobile setup. You're going to receive a verification code from your phone. You want to put in your country, the phone number, and then you're going to enter the verification code once you get it from your phone. And then save for any changes that you made. And then they have labs, much like in your Gmail. These are just different little experimental features that you can add to your calendar if you want to. So you have hide morning and night, gentle reminders, automatically decline events, event attachments, who's my one-on-one with, year view, background image. So if you want to bring a background image into your calendar, free or busy. So you can see which of your friends are free or busy right now. This actually, you have free busy time in there. Jump to date, next meeting, and world clock. So if you've enabled any of these, click on Save. After you click on Save, there is one other thing I want to show you on calendars. If you go back to Calendars and click on Shared and edit settings to the right of your calendar, here is going to determine whether or not this calendar is shared with everybody in the public or everyone in the organization. I only share mine with specific people, but if this is a calendar that you want to share with everybody, you can make it public. Otherwise, I would suggest deselecting this box and then just entering the address of the people that you want to share it with. Now, there's different settings for permission. You want to set the permission settings prior to putting the email addresses in, otherwise you have to change them individually. So for most people, it's going to be see all event details, which means they'll be able to see your calendar, what's going on at specific times, and open up the event and see anything on there. If you want people to be able to make changes to the events, then you would click Make Changes. If you want them to make changes and manage sharing, so it's like they have co-ownership of your calendar, then you would give them Make Changes and Manage Sharing. Or if you just wanted to show what's happening and just that you were busy during a time frame, you would show See Only Free Busy Hide Details. Once you choose the correct one, you just start typing the person's email address in here and then click on Add Person. And once you're done, just click on Save. Now if we go back to our calendar by clicking on Back to Calendar, at the top up here, you're going to see the different views that you can look at your calendar. It's automatically going to be on the one you set as your default. If you ever want to look at it as a day view, you can just click on the button, Month View, 4 days, or the Agenda View, which is going to list everything down in the line. And then you have More, and from More you can print, and you can click on Refresh. So if I wanted to print this, I would click on Print. It's going to bring up a preview of my calendar. Hopefully. There we go. I'm a little slow today. Right. And then you can choose the range you want to print, today, tomorrow, 7 days, 10 days. The orientation, the font size. If you want print descriptions on there, print the end times, attendees, your response, show events you declined if you want it in black and white. Now depending on the view that you have on your calendar, these options are going to be slightly different. So if I cancel this, and if I want to look at week view, then I go to More and Print. You'll notice I have fewer options here. Month view, See, these options are different than the agenda view also. Okay. So that's where your print button is. Again, you have other calendars under here, and these are calendars that are shared with you, or they're calendars that you can add from Browse Interesting Calendars. If you click on this, the first tab you see is Holidays, so you can add the different types of holidays to your calendar. And on any one that you want to add, you would just subscribe, and then that will place that calendar on yours. You also have options to choose sports calendars. So if you like baseball, basketball, cricket, football, if you click on the arrow, it's going to bring up the different teams that you got Major League, Asian Series, Caribbean World Series. You just keep delving down, and it'll eventually bring up the different teams that you can then subscribe to. And again, to subscribe, you're just going to click on the subscribe button. And then under More, you have contacts, birthdays, and events. That's automatically set to subscribe. You can unsubscribe by clicking on unsubscribe. You have the days of the year, the Hebrew calendar, the phases of the moon, star dates, sunrise and sunset, and week numbers. And this would actually be your location if you had them in here. And they'll show you little previews. So if you want to see what the calendar looked like, if you had week numbers added to it, it'll give you a preview of that showing. And you can do that for each of these. So we'll go back to our calendar. Right. If anytime you want to add a coworker's calendar, if they've given you access to that calendar, you can do so by just typing in their email address here. So their calendar would then show up under the list of other calendars. So now let's get into actually adding an event to a calendar. To do that, you're going to pick the day, although you don't necessarily have to pick the day. You could just go up to Create and Quick Add, and here's an example, Dinner with Michael at 7 p.m. tomorrow, and add an event to the calendar. Or you can click on the day that you want to put the calendar event on. It's going to bring up event or task, because you can set tasks up in here, and I'll show you how to do those afterwards. But first we're going to set up an event. So the event, the what would be the title of the event. And then you can either, if this is going to be an all-day event, you can just click on Create and it's going to add it as all day, or you can click on Edit Event and start making changes. So maybe instead of all day, this event is from 9 o'clock until 11:30, and we want it to repeat. So you can have it repeat daily, every weekday, Monday to Friday, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every Tuesday, Thursday, weekly, monthly, or yearly. And this is going to be a monthly meeting that we're having. You can have it repeat by day of the month or day of the week. So we're going to do this by the day of the month, so every 4th. And then when do you want it to end? Never, after so many occurrences, or on a specific day. So this is going to be a never. And we're going to click Done. So now it sets it up for us. Now we can enter a location. This will be the small conference room. And you notice it starts to bring up suggestions. If you have more than one calendar, you can check here to make sure you have it on the correct calendar. You can put in a description. Oh, I can't spell today. You can add attachments if you want to. So to click on Add Attachments, it's going to bring it up so you can upload or connect from your Google Drive. So you can look in your Drive, you can look at Shared with Me, you can upload any of those that you want for a document. You can make the event a specific color. This is for your calendar. And you can set your pop-ups and your email reminders. And you can add a reminder if you want. You can then determine whether you want the time to show as busy or available. And then you can set your privacy settings. Now by default, it's going to follow whatever you set up as sharing settings at the beginning when we went in and determined whether or not this calendar would be shared with the public or everybody in the district or just particular people. If you choose public, then it's going to make all the events available to anyone who has access to the calendar, even if they can't see details of the other events. And if it's private, then it's only going to see the time and that you're busy unless they have make changes to edits events or make changes to events and control sharing. If they have those two options, then they're going to be able to see everything even if you do make it private, because basically they have administrator rights to your calendar. So we'll just keep it by default for this one. And then you can enter guests if you want to. So you can just start typing in their email addresses, and any of those that are on the domain are going to start popping up. You can also add people outside the domain if you want to, so you don't have to keep it to just people that are in the district. And then what type of rights do you want to give these people? Can they modify the event? Can they invite others? And can they see the guest list? This is all up to you. You can also do find a time. And find a time is going to look at the calendars that you have the ability to access. And of the people that you have invited, it'll show them up here if you've got accessibility to them. And then you can see if the time is going to work for everybody that's been invited. So if it was busy, it would show an event at the time frame. And to change the time on this event, you can just drag it around by holding down with your mouse until you find one that everybody has in common. And it automatically changes it up here. So we'll go back to event details. Now if we're done with this and we're ready to send the invitations out, we're going to click on Save. And you do notice it says here a little asterisk next to my name, calendar cannot be shown. And if you click on Y, you don't have permission to access the indicated calendar, so that's why it's not going to show up in the Find a Time. So we'll just click on Save for this event, and it's going to ask if you want to send invitations to guests. Now you can click on Send, and it's going to send them an invite through their email, or you can click on Don't Send, and they'll never know you invited them. It's just if they happen to look at their calendar, it's going to have a little symbol next to an event there. So we'll click on Send. It tells me that it added the event. And now if I scroll through, because we made this a monthly event, you'll see down here it's already on December 4th. And if we go to January, it's on January 4th in February. So it has gone ahead and done the repeat for us. Let's say let's look at the event in January. If you noticed, it's on a Sunday. Well, we don't work on a Sunday, so if I need to change that, I can click on this event, click on Edit Event, and come in here and move this. We'll make it the 6th instead. And now when I save, it's going to ask me if I want to change only this event or this and all future events in the series. Well, right now I only want to change just this event because we don't want to have a meeting on Sunday in December. So I'll say only this event. And we want to update the existing guests on these changes. And we'll tell it yes so that they'll know that this meeting's been changed. So as we go through and look at them, February is fine. It's during the week. March. Now here's another one on Saturday. So again, you can do the same thing on this one. Edit event. Come in and choose a day rather than the 4th. We'll pick the 7th. Save it. Only this event. And send. Alright, so I won't go any further on that. If you need to event one, let's say event one. If you need to remove one, say in June, we're not going to hold it because it's the end of the school year and we really don't want to have one in June because there's just so much stuff going on. We can click on that event in June and click on delete. And again, it's going to ask us if we only want to delete this instance, all the following ones, or all events in the series. Well, we only want to delete this one, so we'll say only this instance. Now, do we want to delete and notify the guests that we're canceling this, or delete without notifying them? And we're going to choose delete and notify guests, so it'll send them an email letting them know that this event on this day has been removed. And so now if you notice, this next one on July 4th is still here, but the one that we took off in June is gone. And the May, April, March, all of those are still on there also. So that's deleting an event of a series. And it would work the same way if you're deleting just a single event also. If you notice, you have tasks down here. You can create tasks. They won't send you reminders or anything. They'll just sit on your calendar. And if we make that active by clicking on the box so it has a color, anytime we go to an event, you'll notice it has event up here and task. If you click on task, and you can put a title in here, you can put notes of things that you need to do for this task. And then you can create it. So for the day that you picked, it's going to show up here. If you click on it, it's going to give you more info. You can go in and edit it at any time. Maybe you need to change the date. Or you can create lists. And if you, right now you have by default just the one, but you can create others. You can delete it, and we're just going to close it. You'll notice it also shows up in the task pane on the right hand side. And you can still do the same things here. If you click on it, it's going to bring up the box so you can change it. If you notice down at the bottom, you have different things you can do. So you can delete it. You can click on this and rename your list if you don't want it to say your name in list. You can create a new list. You can delete the list or refresh it. You can add a new task right from here by clicking on the plus sign. You can reorder your tasks, so you can print the task list, you can view all the completed ones, you can sort them by due date, you can clear the completed tasks if you want to, look for help. You can also use these for indenting, unindenting, move up, move down, edit details. They're the keys that you would use for this. If you go to your email, under Mail, you're going to see tasks. And any tasks that you have on your calendar, you can quickly look at via your email. So now they're right here. And if you need to add one, you can just add it right from there. So if we go back to our calendar, now on the event, we invited somebody to attend this event. Anytime you want to see who has responded, you can click on the event, go to Edit Event, and under Add Guests, you're going to see the people that you invited, and you'll notice it says yes, 2, maybe 0, no, 0, awaiting 0. So depending on what the people replied, you're going to see different symbols next to them. If they said they were going to attend, you'll see a check mark. If they have a maybe, it'll be a question mark. A no would be the circle with a line through it. In a waiting, they would just be listed down towards the bottom. And they're sorted alpha by the way that they answered. They can also add notes. So if somebody said no, you might see a note under their name and where they would have put why they couldn't attend. So we'll save this event and go back out. Now the other thing I wanted to show you on calendars is appointment slots. If you click on the week view, you have to be in week or day view. So if I choose week or day and click on an event, you'll notice I now have appointment slots. If I go back to month view and click on a day, you notice it's a task, not an appointment slot. So you have to be week or day. And we're going to set up some appointments for some meetings that I need to have with different people in our group. So I'll click on appointment slots. Then click on Get Started with Appointment Slots. And in here, you're going to create blocks of time where people can come and meet with you, and they'll be able to choose what time they want to meet with you after you get it set up. So the title is going to be Group Meetings. Now I'm going to meet with different groups for 30 minutes on the 4th. So it's going to start at 7:30 and it's going to end at 2 o'clock. I'm going to offer slots of 30 minutes each. I can say where it's going to be held, and I can give a description. The guests that it's asking you to invite are other people who are going to be there to meet with these people with you. So not the people you want to set up appointments with, but other people that are going to be working with you with these groups or parents or whoever it is that you use this for. One thing you need to note is that the only people who can use appointment slots are those with Gmail accounts. So if you're going to use this for parent-teacher conferences or for outside people, if they don't have a Gmail account, when they go to the link to do the appointments, it's going to ask them to create one at this time. So once I get them set up and I have these slots of how many minutes I want, I'm going to save this. However, this is the link to my appointment slots, and I want this link so that I can share it on my website for people to go and access the appointment slots, or to send in an email to people so that they can then go out and select their slot. So I'm going to go ahead and select the link, and then I will copy it and do a save. So now you notice I have all these slots. It has reserved them out there for me, but I don't have anybody in there yet. So I could go to my website and put a link to that site in there, or I could go to my email and I could compose a letter, and I could invite this person and a test, and I can invite a few more. All right, and subject. Please select a time for your group to meet. All right, and then in here I could put in please select a time for your group to meet with me to discuss the Google Apps implementation. And then I could have put a link in here. I can either paste that entire link here, or I can make a word the link. So I could put in here, choose a time. And I can highlight this, come down to the link, insert that address, and say OK. And then I can send that to these people. Now when they get that email, once they click on the link in their email, it'll take them to this page. And in here, they'll see their calendar plus the times available to meet with you. So they can come in and choose a time. Obviously I'm busy that day, so I can't really do it. 1 o'clock works for me. So I can come in and choose that time and say save. And now it's put it on my calendar so I can see that I had that meeting. And when I go back and look at the originator's calendar, I see that I have one slot taken already. Now the next person that received the invitation and goes in and look, I've got the email to select a time for my group to meet. I choose a time. And it's going to show me all the available times minus the one that was already taken. So for me, this time works the best. And I'll save. And now it's added to my calendar. So if I go to my calendar, and that was March 4th. Here's my meeting. Now I can, as a person who has taken the appointment slot, if things change and that's suddenly not an available time for me, I can come in and cancel the appointment from here. And that'll make that time available again. And if I go back to my other one, and I refresh my calendar again, I can see where I now have 2 appointment slots taken. So if I want to click on this, I can see who took what slot. You can also create other calendars. So if you need to create a calendar for your department, or if you want to have a calendar where you have events that other people can see and keep this one as private only to you, you can do so by going to My Calendars and create New Calendar. You're going to name the calendar, anything that makes sense to you. You can put a description of the calendar in if you want, but it's not required. You can put a location in if you want, but again, it's not required. Calendar time zone, you want to make sure it's set for Eastern. And here you determine if you want to share this with the public or anyone within the organization. So if this is going to be a calendar for parents and students to look at to see events that are going on, you would click Share this calendar and make this calendar public. Now what type of access do you want them to see? Either see all event details or see only free busy hide details. So if you did this, then if you had attachments and everything on your event, they'd be able to see it all. If you did this, they'd only be able to see that from 7 to 8 o'clock you were doing something on that day, but not sure what. So the best one to choose would be see all event details. And then do you want anybody else to help you maintain this calendar? If you do, you can add them now. Give them make changes to events access, put their email address in here, and add the person. So then we're going to click on Create Calendar. And it's going to warn you that if you make your calendar public, that it means it's visible to the world. Are you sure you want to do it? And yes, we do. So we'll say yes. Changes have been saved, and here's my new calendar. And this is where it gets a little confusing for people because now you have more than one calendar on here and you have different colors. So sometimes it might be a little hard to figure out what you're looking at when you're looking at your calendar. That's why it's color coded. So anything purple is my private, anything yellow or whatever color I wish to make it by choosing the drop down is going to be my public events. If I want to turn one off, I click on it so the color is gone, and that means it's off, and I'm only viewing the ones where the color are on. So I'll turn both of them on. Now if I want to set up an event, and let's go to month view, and let's go back to November, and I want to set up an event on my public events calendar. I can click on the day I want to put the event, and you notice here you have calendar in a drop down. So I want this on my public events calendar. From that drop down, I'm going to choose public events. I'm going to put the title in. And then if this is an all-day event, I would just click event and I'm over. Or if it's one that I need to put a specific time, or I want to add attachments and invite people and have it repeat, I'm going to click Edit Event. You can do the same thing if it's an all day. You can click edit event, it's an all day event, and you can add your location description to add attachments and everything in there. And now I'm going to go ahead and make my changes. So this is dinner with a teacher, and it's going to happen at 5:30. And we're going to go to the Olive Garden. Sure, we'll go to the one on Gorham Road, South Portland. This is another opportunity to check to make sure I have it going on the right calendar. If I pick the wrong one, or I forgot to even pick one, I can come in here and choose again. I can put a description in here if I want to. I can add an attachment, so maybe there's a limited menu and I've created a PDF of the menu. I can add that on there, or I can add an agenda or whatever I want. I can show me as busy or available, and then I can add my guests. So those people that I'm inviting to this calendar event, I would add to it. And then I'm going to go ahead and save. So when I look at the calendar, I can see my stuff is in purple and the public events is in yellow. And again, if I want to hide one or the other, I just click on the calendar to turn the color off and then turn it back on by clicking on it again. If you have more than one calendar and you need to copy an event from one calendar to another, you can click on the event, choose Edit Event, and then under More Actions, you're going to see the list of calendars that you have access to, and you can just click on the one that you want to copy it to, and it'll put it on there. So if I want to copy this one we'll choose Lori Parent's calendar, and then I would say save, and you notice down here it's changed who the calendar goes to, and then I say save, it's then going to appear on Lori Parent's calendar. So now if I make hers active, you see her color is red, and that calendar event has been there. If you need to change the ownership of an event, you can come into More Actions and choose Change Owner. Put in the new owner's email address, and then it's going to send a message, I'd like to transfer ownership of this event using Google Calendar, and change owner. You can also duplicate the event. So if you need to make the same event, it has all the information in it you need, and rather than retyping everything for another day, you can duplicate and then just move it to another day. The last thing I want to show you on calendars today is searching. You notice up here you have Search Calendar. If there's an event on your calendar but you're not sure when it is, you can type in the word to search on and hit enter, and it's going to search a calendar for everything with that word in it and bring it up to you in the agenda view. So if you had more than one dinner with a teacher, it would just list them down on all the different days. And thank you for watching and attending the class.